subscribing and leaving comments.
The search for new life forms extends to the invisible edge of the universe. While some scientists listen for signals of intelligence from beyond our galaxy, we're still discovering new evidence about life on Earth. Investigators are pursuing evidence of a man-ape that's still unclassified by science. Our quest for strange, undiscovered creatures takes us to the four corners of the globe and finally beyond the limits of the Earth. In the skies above Belgium, a high-speed UFO encounter leads to an extraordinary announcement. Is there really a possibility of extraterrestrial contact? More people believe it today than ever before. Join us on a journey of discovery as Reader's Digest Mysteries of the Unexplained presents Strange Beings and UFOs. We begin with the hunt for a mysterious creature which may be our closest living relative, if it exists at all. This is a cast of its gigantic footprint. Jeff Meldrum, a private anatomist, is one of a handful of investigators around the world who's studying these extraordinary clues. From these tracks and some 1,500 recorded sightings comes a profile of what some call a monster and others a missing link. Its height is estimated at between 6 and 8 feet. Its weight between 280 and 700 pounds. The Indians of the Northwest call this creature Sasquatch. We call it Bigfoot.
People sometimes ask, could a Bigfoot track simply be a big human foot? And the answer is quite simply no, that there are very significant differences between the two. For example, the foot is basically much flatter than is a human footprint. There's no discernible arch as is found in a human footprint. There are also differences in the way in which the foot moves. In a more ape-like foot, there is greater flexibility through the instep. And I've seen this feature consistently demonstrated in a number of tracks from a number of different and very diverse situations.
New tracks have arrived at Meldrum's lab, along with a home video from a fishing guide named Richard Greenwell.
Okay, there's one. We're going to cast that one. And there's another one right there that's been stepped on by a dog. There's another cast right there. We're headed towards the creek at this point.
A long-time tracker of Bigfoot, Gear had come well prepared. He made casts of the footprints before following them deeper into the woods.
Something moved, and then I looked. And there was another down log 30, 40 foot away on the side of the hill, and staring me, sort of bent over, kind of like a linebacker in a football game, head kind of hunched back, looking down around the corner at me, was this furry creature.
According to Gear, the creature then fled into the forest. As it did, it left behind a few strands of body hair.
Okay. How wild. This is unreal.
Gear has sent them along to Meldrum for analysis.
Right there by that footprint. He just pulled some more off.
Sasquatch hair samples have been found throughout the Northwest. Meldrum will have these examined at the university's lab.
Hello, is this Rich Gear? Yes, this is Jeff Meldrum calling. Yes, I received your package. Yes,
Meldrum will soon visit the
right,
heart
you
of
could order.
Bigfoot country to meet Rich Gear as the
very
search for one of
interesting,
nature's most
especially,
elusive
hair
creatures
In
continues.
fact, a colleague of mine and myself would like to come out and...
What about the concrete evidence for Bigfoot?
Well, I've spoken to Rich Gear, who sent me the videotape and casts and other materials. He's found a camp for us here.
In Orleans, California, Jeff Meldrum is joined by Richard Greenwell of the International Society of Cryptozoology, Tucson, Arizona.
As a cryptozoologist, my job is to, well, first evaluate claims, reports of what we call unverified animals and see if we can verify them. And of course, right here in California, we look for Bigfoot. I'm hopeful that this is a real biological phenomenon, we could call it. It's going to be pretty significant for zoology as well as anthropology and as well as society, I think.
The team's first objective is to follow up Rich Gear's recent Bigfoot sighting. A seasoned forest guide, Gear will donate a few days of his time to help them search for new Bigfoot tracks.
Been doing a little scouting around here, and just not too far over the hill is where the actual Patterson sighting was, and there's a nice little sandbar there, and possibly, you know, we might see some things that might get exciting.
You filming your camera, Richard?
Yeah, let's
Hey.
If these investigators do find Bigfoot, it won't be the first time a myth has inspired the search and discovery of a real creature.
Here's an example of a bear paw, probably a black bear, a real big black bear. And we see the paw mark here, but we haven't seen the bear. And it's kind of the case with Bigfoot. You do see the footprints, but you don't see the Sasquatch itself.
So we can see real clearly then.
When we return to the search for Bigfoot, Meldrum and Greenwell will visit a place where Sasquatch left more than a footprint. Medford Taylor is a photographer for National Geographic magazine. 10 years ago, he crossed paths with another mysterious creature, one that haunts a world of stone and ice. It was 1985. The first joint Soviet-American mountain climbing expedition was in its second week. Americans and Russians were scaling a series of peaks in the Pamir Mountains of present-day Tajikistan. The story was covered by National Geographic, and Medford Taylor was sent to capture the adventure on film.
Up until this point, I was rather cynical about stories that I'd heard of Bigfoot and Nessie and other such monster stories. And after actually experiencing an incident like this, I began to question my own disbelief. It was during a lull between climbs that I hiked out from the camp some 2-3 kilometers alone to photograph flowers and fauna around the area. And in one of these valleys, late on an afternoon, I came upon this very large footprint, seemingly by a human of some sort, but not one of any size I'd ever encountered.
This is the first time Medford Taylor's photos of the footprint have been revealed to the world.
Not only did I photograph the footprint, but the more I looked at this footprint, the more I realized that I was seeing something strange, something I'd never seen before. This chill came over me. It was cold. It was always cold in that desolate valley, and there was always a slight wind blowing. But even beyond that, I felt this chill. There was obviously some other being around me in this place.
Taylor is certain he was not hoaxed. He had told no one in the base camp where he intended to hike that fateful day.
All I know is that I took the photographs, they're real, and I suppose when people don't understand the reason for something, they walk away from it. And so I suppose for that reason, I put the pictures away in my own file for the last 10 years, and there they've sat. But I still don't have an answer to this.
Unexplained footprints and sightings of ape-like creatures are not confined to Asia. Sightings have been reported in many North American states and Canadian provinces. The most frequent reports come from British Columbia, Washington, Oregon, and Northern California.
I get asked quite often if I believe in Sasquatch and Bigfoot, and my answer is usually, and has to continue to be for now, is on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I believe in Bigfoot. And on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, I don't. And on Sundays, I rest.
Of all the alleged Bigfoot sightings in the Pacific Northwest, none have matched the incident at Bluff Creek, California. In 1967, two men, Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, were determined to bring back proof once and for all that Sasquatch existed. That October, they mounted an expedition to Bluff Creek, a site where scores of footprints had been reported. As they explored the creek bed for tracks, their horses were suddenly spooked. Gimlin stayed behind, but Patterson grabbed his Super 8 camera and raced towards an ape-like form squatting beside the creek. This is the actual scene Patterson shot in 1967. A few seconds of film of what he and Gimlin swore was a living and breathing Sasquatch. Jeff Meldrum believes that if the film is a hoax, it would have required a sophisticated knowledge of primate anatomy, something that Patterson did not possess.
The subject of the Patterson film, for example, walks with a very bent-kneed gait. He's walking very flat-footed. There's a lot of overlap in support between the two limbs.
Another feature that intrigues Meldrum is the way the creature swivels its entire upper body. It's the same way great apes with thick upper necks have to move when looking back in mid-stride.
So the fact that all of these features act in concert, and each time I see the film, new things sort of come to the surface, keeps bringing me back to the film to study it more and more.
Soon the team will break off their search for Bigfoot. Meldrum is anxious to return to Idaho to learn the results of the lab tests on the Bigfoot hair samples recovered by Rich Gear. In the meantime, they know that just beyond the firelight, the very creature they seek could be watching them. If the idea of large unknown creatures on Earth is disturbing, how much more disturbing is the idea of being watched from the sky? Jeff Meldrum has returned from Bigfoot country to his lab in Idaho. He's back just in time. Preliminary tests on the Bigfoot hair sample have been completed with significant results. The hair strands from Northern California are strikingly similar to alleged Sasquatch samples from other states. DNA studies will soon compare the hair with samples taken from gorillas.
If in fact the DNA compares most closely to the living great apes, then it's strong evidence that that Bigfoot is in fact part of a very early ape lineage that gave rise to the modern living apes, such as chimps and gorillas.
The initial results of the DNA tests did confirm that the hair samples from Northern California are of animal, not human origin, and are not of any species known to exist in North America. Some believe we will never find Bigfoot because it doesn't exist. They tell us there are no more mysterious creatures to be found on Earth. And yet we keep finding them. In 1994, a new species of animal is captured in Vietnam. Called the Saula, it's the largest new mammal to have been discovered in the past 50 years. That same year, another deer-like creature, the giant mudjak, is found in nearby Laos. In Antarctica, scientists uncover a meteor from Mars. In 1996, they announced that evidence of long-dead Martian bacteria is embedded in its surface. Life takes many forms, and we are constantly surprised by new ones. There will be more surprises. That's guaranteed. What they will be, we can hardly guess. It's a matter of time and space.
you're enjoying all this rare and unique content, please show your support by subscribing and leaving comments.